members of the clergy, members of the New York Belizean organizations, fellow Belizeans and friends. Let me extend the warmest greetings on behalf of the government of Belize to you for your presence here today in this memorial service for the late Right Honorable George Cable Price. For many of you, your memories of the late George Price are personal ones. Miss Joan Avaloy recalled to me that she saw George Price only a few days before his fateful fall, and he greeted her just as he did when she was in her youth. In the planning of this service, several of the members of the clergy recounted their own memories of Mr. Price walking on North Front Street, taking his usual stroll to Old Redeemer. Reverend Henry recalled being flagged down by Mr. Price on the highway, a gentle reminder to maintain the speed limit. My own personal memory, of course, is that my family lived in his neighborhood, and when my grandfather expired, he attended my grandfather's funeral so many years after they had made acquaintances. George Price was the quintessential everyman, but his legacy was that of a giant, a hero. And so on the 26th of September of this year, Belize honored Right Honorable George Price in state funeral service. Thousands congregated in our capital city, Belmopan, to say goodbye. It was a day of unity, a day that George Price himself struggled all his life to attain. I would like to read to you from the tribute our Prime Minister, Honorable Dean Oliver Barrow, made on that day. These are his words, and I quote, "In trying to reflect on the man that he was, I had recourse to a sketch of British Honduras titled The Ultimate Colony, and written in 1969 by Nobel laureate V.S. Nepal. Among Nepal's barbs lie wonderful little nuggets, vignettes, and insights into the style, personality, and vision of then Premier Price. Nepal accompanies Mr. Price on one of his weekly early morning tours in his trademark Land Rover and describes the Premier's interaction with the people, his lilting greetings to everyone, calling them by name. He walked every neighborhood, had a phenomenal memory, fantastic powers of concentration. In Nepal's recounting, we get a clear sense of his iron discipline, of Mr. Price's huge efforts of will at making himself one with his people. It was the interest, the intensest kind of leadership, personal in the extreme and designed to make each Belizean feel individually cared for and looked after by their Premier. He was determined to be the emerging nation's staff and guide and shepherd and comforter. That is what resulted in his legendary attention to the smallest of details, including the potholes in the road that needed to be filled and broken down trucks that needed to be fixed. That is what resulted in his descending upon households and folding all in his benediction, insisting on visiting the kitchen and partaking of whatever the family meal was, the humbler, the better. Also, there was the Spartan nature of his personal life and his remarkable unity of activism and contemplation. Quote, he says his prayers before going to bed, close quote, Nepal tells us. Quote, he is up at 5 and goes to Mass at 5:30. He does not worry through to political decisions. They come to him after a night of prayer and rest, and he is in his office punctually at 8, close quote. Even his enemies, according to Nepal, admitted that neither age nor power changed George Price. He was not interested in money. He was known to give away money. And of course, he was ceaselessly touring the country in that Land Rover, always reading, always checking. Is it any wonder then that he became the father of the nation? Visionary that he was, George Price himself tells us that he fixed his mind on independence from the time in 1949 when the governor used his reserve power to devalue the British Honduras dollar. To understand just how much of a seer this made him, we have to recollect that this was well before decolonization came, well before the seminal 1960 United Nations Declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples. He was way ahead of his time, and it was only the security obstacles thrown up by the Guatemalan claim that prevented him from early realizing his dream, and prevented Belize from becoming part of that first great wave that swept so many new nations into being in the 1960s and the 1970s. But the art nationalist and George Price never let go of the struggle of freedom. When finally we won independence, it was after a hard-fought internationalization campaign and in circumstances that were peculiar in the post-colonial world. Mr. Price had succeeded in wresting a defense guarantee against all odds from the British. For the record, George Price was the country's only First Minister